So when looking around at Dribble, I came across this login or sign up screen design. So I thought in this tutorial we will look into how we can create this or replicate this. So stay tuned. Get a free full month of Skillshare and stream more than 18,000 online classes on subjects like design, business and tech. After a while and you feel like this isn't for you, you can always cancel a subscription and not pay anything. So don't wait, try it out now. The link is in the description. So I've just gone ahead and created the empty project, remove all the comments. So we have this blank screen which is an app bar. So let's look at this screen again. And if we scroll down a bit, we can see the colors that are used. We won't go and use all those colors, but I will just use some of them. So for the colors, let's see, we can set that into the theme. So instead of using a primary swatch, we can remove this and first off set the brightness. So the brightness is just if the application will be a dark themed app or a light themed app. So if we run this again, we can see that we have a dark themed app. So first off, if we show this again, we can see that we have this red color as a background. And you can see the hex code is right there in the bottom. So if we go back, I will write down the background or scaffold color. And we will set this to a hex color. So to use a hex color, we give it an int value with 0xff, and then we can type in our hex value. So that will be 87116D, like that. So if we run this again, we won't actually show anything like that. Let's see, we actually forgot one. So there we go. Now we have that reddish color. So the next color we will set is the primary color. So the primary color we will set to a green color actually, because we want the text field and everything to become green when we select them. So the primary color will also be a hex color, which will be this code right here. And just to make it a bit faster, I will just copy in these two to make it a little faster. So there we go. Now we have set up the primary theme of the application or this login screen. And as we can see, we have our app bar up here, which is set to the primary color of the application, which is this color of the card right here. So let's go about renaming this application. So let's rename this application to something like sign up application. So sign up app. So we refactor this because it's a stateless widget. We have to only refactor this one. So, and also we have this which will render the application. So first off, just remove the app bar because we won't need that. Actually, I will do like this so we can easily tab to this. Okay. So if we check this, we won't have an app bar. So let's just set the app bar to, should we actually remove it or should we have it? Let's just remove it. We will set the padding to the app bar's height instead. So if we refresh this, or if we rerun this, we want to have an app bar. And we'll fix the padding of the top afterwards. So let's just refactor this because we don't actually want this class in the same Dart file as the start of the application. So first off, let's rename this file. So if we rename this to something like sign up, and because this is a stateful widget, we also have to rename this also. So it will be the same. So sign up. And then we will take all of this code, cut that out. And inside this lib folder, we will make a new directory. And let's call that pages. So inside pages, let's create a new Dart file, which we will rename to sign up. And then we can just cut this or paste this code in and import a material package. And then inside here, we can also import the Dart file. So we have the sign up. So actually now it won't be we won't have anything different. We just have a more structured way of seeing where we can change the color of our application and change the screen. So let's start by creating the card. So in the scaffold, we can set the body. So what we'll use as a body is a list view. So why we'll use a list view, it's just an easier way of handling input fields. So if the layout is too small, we'll just have a list view to push that content up. So inside this list view, we will add a padding. So this is the padding that we will set to the top of the application. And we'll also set some padding to the left and right and bottom. So let's add a h insets and take a left right or left top right bottom. And we will set all of this to 16 first. And then on the, as you can see here, we want the top one to be the same as a toolbar. And there's actually a constant for that. So if you type k, we can see all these constants or static double variables. We can see that we have at the top a k toolbar height. So if we set the k toolbar height, we will have a padding to the top. So let's see if we can create something right here. So the first thing we will have inside this list view is the children. So inside this children, we will have a card, which will be just the holder for all the content. So this is the card right here. You don't have to use the card. Actually, you can have a container and set the shadow yourself. But I think it's just a bit handy to use a card for that. And we will change the elevation, or actually we set that later so you can see the changes. So we set the child to a column. And we will set the main axis size to be as small as possible. So there we go. And inside here we will also have children. So right now it won't actually show anything because we don't have any content in the card and we haven't set any actual we haven't set any content inside here. So if we would just set a text right here, we can try that. We can see some kind of card. So first off, let's just wrap this card because we want to set this width not to fill that much of the content. Or we can actually, because if we're having a huge tablet or something, this will still be almost to the corners except the 16 pixels. So at this card, we will wrap with a new widget. We set a size box. We will set a width. So the width will be 320. And right now, this actually isn't showing anything. So if anyone have a better solution to this, I would like to know that. But I will just wrap this in an align. And that will set the width. So right now we have this card, or the start of the card. And actually the card color is wrong. So let's change the card color. So if we go to the color here, we can get the theme. So to get the theme, you can write theme.off, you get context, and then just take the primary color. That will be the same color. So now we should give this some more information right there. So first off, we will build this title up here, which says welcome. And to do that, we will start by building the content right here. We will refactor it afterwards. So we will take first off, we will take a container, so we can set the padding. Oh no, set the height, I mean. So let's set the height to 60. So if we refresh this, we can see that we have a bigger height of the card. And we can also set the child, which will be a align. So inside this align, we can set alignment and set alignment to bottom center. And then we can add our child, which will be a text widget, which will say welcome. So if we try this now, actually I just want to try this if this works. So the container also has an alignment. We'll try the same, so add a alignment right there. Remove this widget. Yeah, okay, that did the same thing, so let's use that instead. So inside this text, we'll set some properties to make it bigger. So the text have a property called style, which we will set to text style. Let's scroll to the right a bit. So the font size will be 18. And then we can set the color. And the color will be, let's see, it will be the theme off. So here we get a bit of a problem. So instead of calling this theme of context all the time, we can cut this out, go to the top of the build. Let's just close that. So go to the top of the build, we create a final theme, which will be this theme.of context. So now we can just call theme every time. So here we can call theme primary color dark. So now we have this title. And we can see that if we go to this, it has some padding also probably at the bottom. So the card will have padding around it, or this Facebook button, and also this welcome button, so we don't have to actually add another spacing in between here. So let's just set the container and set a padding with edge insets, and let's just type it only at the bottom. Just add 8 pixels. There we go. So what we can do now is that we can actually, to refactor this a bit, we can take this container. Let's see if we can. Yeah, let's just take this container and right click it, and we can see that it is a refractor, and we can extract it to a method. So this method will just be called build title. So now I have used this build title up there. And I like to put all my methods up at the top so I can just easily scroll down to the bottom to see my build method. And that's just a bit easier. If you come into the application or the file, you can scroll down and see that the first item we create is a title. So for the next thing is a Facebook button. So if we check this, you can see that the width is almost the same as the card. So we'll probably set a width of that. So the card was 320. You set something less than that, like 200 or something. And it will be a, really can't see if it's a raised button or a flat button. We'll use a flat button for that. And we won't actually do any logic, so the onPress will just not call anything. So to create that button, let's set a sized box. So we can set the width of this flat button. So that would be 250. And the child of that would be the flat button. So as I said, the onPress will actually not do anything, but we still want the actual feedback so we can see how it looks. So the child of this flat button, if we go back, we can see that it requires actually a row, because we have this icon and I also have this text. So I will show a package for that, that Facebook button. So first off, just to create the representation for that in the beginning, we can set a row with children. And the size of this row, let's just not touch that to begin with. We can set the icon. Set the icons dot. Just something to begin with. Let's set it that. And then set the size to something like 16 pixels. And then we can set a text. So the text will be sign up with Facebook. So if we check that, we can see that it doesn't actually look that nice right now. So let's see if we can change that. Let's set the main axis size to min, so we can see that it centers it. And let's also add some background to this. So to add some background, we can see the flat button, and if we control press that, we can see all the properties it has. So it has a color and splash color and everything. And we will just focus on the color and the shape. So let's add a color to begin with. So the color will be, so this color will actually not be in any other place of the application because this is specific to this Facebook button. So we will set it right here. 9.8. We can see how that looks. So there we go. Now we got this Facebook button, but we can see that it has some rounded shape to it. So let's just add some shape to this button. And let's add onPress at the top. So let's add the shape. So we can provide a rounded rectangle border. So inside this rectangle border, we can set the border radius. And the border radius requires a border radius, right? Yeah. So we can set the border radius. And we can add a circular border radius with a circular of, let's try 5. If we refresh that, we can see that looks about right. Let's see. It looks good. So, no, don't actually close that. So the shape is good. So there's one more thing now, or actually let's add some more height to it. So if we check this card, we can see that our card is not the same height as that one. So let's add some padding. Let's add that to the flat button. So insets or edge insets has a method called symmetric. So this symmetric you can call either the vertical or horizontal. So we want space on the top of the top and bottom. So let's just select vertical and set that to something like 12 pixels. And that looks good. So to add this, or we can also see that the spacing out here is not that good actually. So let's add a sized box with a width of something like 8 pixels, and that looks good. So as we can see now, the icons from Flutter doesn't actually provide with a Facebook icon. So we'll have to add a package for that. So if we go back here, I actually have one. Let's see if I actually have it. So if we go to the package site, now we'll scroll in a bit so you can see. So we can have, I think it's called like that. Yeah. So this has some material design icons. You call it like this. So instead of icons, you just type MDI icons. So let's install that. We'll add this dependency. So we go to the YAML file and we go to Flutter SDK. You have to indent it right or else it won't work. We call get. Just wait for it to complete. It's completed. And then let's just import this. There we go. Can write get there. We can import this dependency. So there we go. Now we got the dependency for that. We can close all these things so it's a bit easier to read. And we can set this icon to MDI icons. We can call Facebook. So if we check the application, we should see a Facebook button, which looks, yeah, it looks about the same. So that's good. So that's all for the Facebook button. So that was working well. So let's refactor this into its own method. So extract it into a method. We will call it just build Facebook button. And refactor this like that. We can cut this out and put it at the top or below this build title. Like that. So what's the next thing? So the next thing is this or and sign up with email and address. We will actually make just 2 texts for that. There's multiple ways of doing that, but we'll just make a method that takes two different texts so we can reuse it. So let's add a, let's say a padding to begin with. Let's set the padding to 8. And then as the child, we can set the text. So the text will be just or something like that. And we can set the style to whatever fits. So if we go back here, we can see that the text is actually not white here. So we have to change the text color. So what we'll use as the text color is the theme of primary color dark. So if we check that, we can see it that we have this OR, and we will also have a font size. So let's change the font size because I think that's a bit big. So let's add a 12 to font size. Yeah, that looks good. So let's refactor this into its own method. So build, what should we call it? Something like, yeah, let's just call it something like build text. So extract into its own method, build text, and take this and put that top. So what we want to do now is, instead of creating another method for the other text, as you can see here, it has also a sign up with email and address. Let's just add a parameter here. So a string text. We'll add that here. And add a text right there. Let's actually switch place with those. So I have to switch place here also. Like that. So now we can easily just take this method and paste it in again. Now I have two OR, and let's just type in sign up with your email address. So sign up with your email address. Let's just check again. That looks good. You can add that specific styling also in the parameter. I will just have it like this, just for the simplicity of the video. So right now we will have two input fields, and I will do pretty much the same as this two text field, but with a method for returning a text field. So let's just do that. So first off, we will create our text field. So to begin with, we will type it in here. We'll have a text field. And inside this text field, we will have a decoration. There we go. With a input decoration. So inside here, we can set a label text. So the label text will just be something like email. If we refresh this, you can see that email, but we can also see that it takes up the whole space. So let's just add some padding to that. So we can add padding, and we actually want some padding, not the top and bottom. We only want to the left and right. So instead of having edge insets all, we can set a edge insets of symmetric. We can set the horizontal to something like 24. So that will push it in from the side. That looks about what we want. So inside here, we can also add some more input decorations. So we'll also have a hint text, because if we press this right now, it just look like that. But they also have like a hint text for your @email.com. So let's just add that also. Your @email.com. And that looks right. And maybe we should do that. We can see that this text is not actually the same as this text, and where they have the same text color. So yeah, let's just change that also. So in the input decoration, we can have a hint text style. Let's add a hint style. which will just be the simple text style. We can set the color again to theme.primary, the color dark. So if we check that again, that becomes the same color. Yeah. So that's all for the decoration. And we will have a obscure text. We'll set that to false. But because we'll make a method, that will be a parameter we'll pass in. So let's extract this to a method called build text input field, actually. And just because I don't want to scroll up right now, I want to see the parameters. So inside these parameters, we will add a label text. And we will add the hint text. And we will have a bool for is obscured. And that is because we want the password to be obscured. So that looks about right. So now we can take this and type in label text. Type that in there. And this will be the hint text. Pass that in there. And then for is obscured. So is obscured. And we will just pass in false. If we run this, we can see that nothing actually changes because we just create a method to return the same thing. So let's put that up here. So now we can reuse this for the password field. So because this won't actually contain any logic for passing in an email and password, you may want to do something else for this. I'm just extracting everything to methods just to make it more readable. So then I can easily do this to show you actually how we build application. So inside this, we can now call another, and that other will be the password. So the password will have a password in this one. It won't have any example. So we can just pass in an empty string. And we will set this to true. If we check this. And that looks about right. And as you can see, it adds some padding to the top, and that's why I didn't add any padding to the bottom of this text field. Because we don't actually need any padding. And the same comes with, or actually we will add some size at the bottom of this. We could add some padding to the bottom, but that will add some padding to this email field also, and we don't want that. So let's just create a sized box with a height of 18 pixels. So that will give us some padding. So for the next thing, we will actually create this sign up button, which will be that green color. So it will pretty much be the same as the Facebook button. We'll create a size box with a width of 250 and a child of raised button. The onPressed will be a empty function like that. We try that. We have this green colored button. And let's just do the same as before. We will add some padding to the left and right, or the top or bottom, so we can have it a bit more height to the button. So it will be a edge inset symmetric, and we'll set it to a vertical with 12. And the color, actually, We already have the color, I think. Yeah, we already have the color. Or is it a bit darker for me? Let's see if I added, I don't remember, but let's just test if I added a theme dot button color. Okay, let's just ignore that, but we can set this for good measures. So this will actually always hold the button color. So at the child, we'll set the text of the button, which will just be something like that, right? Yeah, sign up with email. So if we refresh that again, we can see that we have this button. But we can also see that we don't have the same shape as the Facebook button and the cards. So let's add the same shape. So let's just go to the Facebook button. So you can do this thing like with control press, and we'll just copy this shape. So if we check that, we now have this rounded button. And like that. So let's extract this also. So refractor extract method. And we will call it build sign up button. We take this, put it here at the top. So this will still be the same. So what's after the button? So after the button, we will have a terms and condition text. So because this text will be a bit different compared to this text, because it will be a bit smaller, we'll create its own widget for that. We can actually also pass in the font size to this build text, I think. Because yeah, let's just pass in the font size. So that will be a double font size. So let's just remember that this will be 12. So let's go down here. You can set those to 12. So now we can actually reuse this build text again. And we'll set the size to something like 8, and we'll set a new text. So let's check what the text was. Put it right there. So the text will be, by signing up you agree with our terms and conditions. So let's just see how that looks. So that looks great actually. So in the end, let's just add another size box to set a height. So you can see that it has a bit more spacing there. So there we go. Now we have a complete working or complete example of this layout right here. And I didn't bother to add this underline to terms and condition and making things pressable and stuff. That's up to you to do. So that wraps it all for this challenge or this tutorial. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye.